a beautiful day here in the Virgin Islands, and we are here at the lovely Peter Island Resort with some pretty exciting news and some pretty great people to have a conversation with. My name is Karia Christopher, the Acting Director of Communications for the Government of the Virgin Islands, and of course today I have our Honorable Premier, Minister of Finance and Tourism, along with our Junior Minister for Tourism and Culture, the Honorable Luz Hodge-Smith. Good afternoon, Honorable and Honorable.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Carrie.
Of course, we have business to address today, and we are excited. I must tell the audience that we're at the Tourism Summit here at Peter Island, and of course, what better way to make some great announcement and to have a discussion about tourism with the Premier and Honorable Luz Hodge-Smith. And today, Premier, you have some great news to share. I know that it's out there already, but we want to talk more about it, about some of the numbers that we have had for 2024 tourism numbers. That's just one piece of the conversation. Talk to us today, please, about the expectations that you had for 2024, and are you satisfied?
Yeah, well, Carrie, one of the goals we had is we wanted to reach over 1 million visitors, and by God's grace and mercy, we have achieved that. We have gone over 1 million tourists by about 92,000 visitors, and that's something to celebrate, Carrie, because we only had 1 million visitors one time in our history, which was in 2016, when we had our best tourism year ever. And of course, persons would know, in 2017, we were devastated by 2 hurricanes. So it set us back. It's almost like we had to start from scratch because everything was destroyed. And then after the hurricanes, we had the devastating pandemics. And we've had other things that have caused a challenge for us, but we're getting back to where we used to be. And by God's grace and mercies, we'll surpass those numbers in the next few years, which will be something to celebrate. It demonstrates our resilience, and it demonstrates that the Virgin Islands is still a wonderful place to visit.
We'll get more into the numbers in a bit, Premier. Honorable Luz, tourism has always been a pillar for the Virgin Islands, and you having extensive, stuff within the tourism industry. You've worked in that area for quite a bit. What are your expectations now that we've reached that million plus? It is a great day for celebration for us in the Virgin Islands. And what do you look forward to moving forward into 2025?
Well, thank you for that, Carrie. Most definitely moving forward is actually simply said, moving forward. We want to grow from here, grow even further from here, and we will share the numbers in a little bit. But the fact of the matter is that we have reached this milestone through our resilience, through going through the stuff that the Premier had talked about. And the fact that the people still want to come to the Virgin Islands speaks volumes for us. And to achieve this particular milestone in our second time in our tourism industry, and it's a very young industry. We started in the 60s. It's not like we've been with other countries who have been in this industry for much, much longer. Yes. So we're still growing, we're still developing. There are still areas that we have to improve upon, and that's the aim from 2025 going forward. And that's why we're starting out the year with this summit, because we're taking tourism to the next level, and we're taking it very, very serious.
Love that for us. Now, during our promo for the Tourism Summit at Nanaki, we talked about what the tourism industry is for the Virgin Islands. And we know that we are competing with many, many islands and keys and territories and countries. And we have to do more than sun, sea, and sand, which the Tourism Summit really speaks highly of. Now, let's get into the numbers a little bit. A lot of us, most of us see so many cruise ships and we're just overjoyed. And some people may be not so overjoyed. And we don't really understand what those numbers mean. Now, having prepared for the summit a little bit, I understand a little bit more that yes, we are very grateful for the cruise ship industry, but there's a lot more to what tourism is in the Virgin Islands outside of the cruise ship industry. So Premier, talk to us about the overnight travelers and those things. What can the Virgin Islands know and the stakeholders in terms of what the government is doing to ensure, one, that we have more overnight guests, really the chronicle, the pinnacle of where the real funds are?
Well, Karia, you mentioned overnight guests, and some persons, some critics, would say that the numbers are all about cruise ship passengers.
Yes.
That's actually not the case. Our overnight guests count for 2024 was over 305,000. In 2023, it was somewhere around probably 262,000, and that's a 16, close to 17% increase. And what we've been noticing with the numbers is every year it's going up steadily. And being here at Peter Island Resort is symbolic because Peter Island was destroyed in 2017. It's come back in 2024. In that 7-year span, of course, you see the beauty which is Peter Island reimagined. And the Virgin Islands is the same way. We're like a phoenix coming out of the ashes. We're reimagining ourselves, coming back bigger, coming back better, and persons would be able to enjoy a wonderful Virgin Islands experience 7, 8 years after the most devastating hurricanes we've ever experienced. But I want persons to know that we do value the cruise ship industry. The cruise ship industry perhaps provides livelihoods for probably over 200 taxi drivers who, that's their source of income. Some persons who retired, that's their pension plan. So many persons who are on the beaches, who vending, the businesses at the Pier Park, the Ports Authority, they get quite a bit of their income from the head tax from the cruise ships. But we want to make sure that we don't have overcrowding and we don't have things out of balance. So we're putting measures in place to be able to manage the beach experience, to open up new beaches by putting like bathrooms on different beaches, which will allow tourists to go there because the infrastructure is there. And we're going to make sure that we have a sustainable product which is balanced. But we're very proud of our resurgence in overnight guests, and we expect that 2025 we'll have even more overnight guests than 2024.
Now, the Virgin Islands is known as a luxury destination. I think I heard somebody say in the opening for the summit, we're not for everyone.
Yes.
I don't know if I've ever heard that, but it kind of makes sense.
That used to be slogan, we're different.
Oh, well, different, correct.
Yeah.
So a luxury destination, I don't know that I'll be able to come to Peter Island except for this interview. And so we should be proud of that. But there's the coin where people say, what do the locals have to do? What is the other part of the lure to the Virgin Islands? We're a luxury destination, but are we taking away the common folks, the Karia, Christopher, and the Sanjays, and those people who want to come to the Virgin Islands? What's your response to that, Premier or Honorable Luce?
Well, perhaps I'll let Honorable Luce Smith.
Well, I would like to say that yes, we are a destination for everybody, in my view. And I believe that we do attract a lot of high-end visitors, and that has been our niche market, I would say, for quite some time. But we find that more and more people are showing an interest in visiting the territory. And we don't have exactly... We may have, but we'll have to find out the demographics of our visitors in terms of salary, the income, or their age brackets, and those kinds of things. Because it would be interesting to do such a study so that we can have exact information as to the makeup of our visitors.
Understood.
We have the numbers,
Yes.
but do we have the demographics to help us to definitely know that we do have a diverse visitors sector? But I think it's very important for us to recognize that we have, an interest for everybody, whether you are of a high end or middle end or lower end. And the fact that we have the cruise ship passengers, and I don't think the Premier mentioned the number, it's 770,000, a little under, or maybe about that. 770,000 visitors. So this is 770,000 opportunities to sell to our visitors that come just for a few hours that, listen, come back. Come back and stay overnight. So we don't want to miss the opportunity. And I believe there are those who come. But again, do we do the study and do we ask them, is this when they come in, do we have to do inboarding survey and outgoing survey to find out. So I don't know if you've done that, but we definitely need to get more detailed statistics in order for us to know that this is what's happening. The fact that they were on a cruise ship, they loved it, and they decided to come back.
Well, I suppose with the tourism summit being right now live, these are the kind of information and the kind of questions, the kind of concerns that the stakeholders will have. And of course, we have the technical people and the technocrats on the ground to be able to get this information and give back to the public. Now, we are still, and I hope the Premier will agree, the sailing capital of the world. I remember from the time I was a little girl, we've always been the sailing capital of the world. A little bit of competition, but we love competition. Now in Nanny Key, we got to see some luxury boats, some luxury yachts. Talk to me, Premier, about the numbers for charter yachts in the luxury industry in terms of our beautiful waters.
Yeah, well, we set a record in 2024 for day trippers. You know, quite a lot of those day trippers would come over from St. Thomas and come visit for the day. You know, places like Jas Van Dykes, they get quite a lot of day trippers. That's an important part of our experience. But what you said before, Carrie, is so important. And even speaking about the charter yacht industry and speaking about the fact that you have diverse types of guests, that applies to the charter yacht industry as well. You come to the Virgin Islands, you'll see the biggest and most gorgeous looking mega yacht. But you also see a little bare boat, you know, a monohull bare boat, or, you know, the catamarans, etc. So the destination, while a lot of our bread and butter is that luxury market, we have something for everybody. Because, of course, we live in the region. We have persons, family members, they come and they visit. They need a place to stay. So they can't stay in a place that costs $25,000 a night. But of course, we have persons who come here who can pay that. We have persons who are former presidents, who are billionaires, persons who, you know, own businesses which are prosperous all over the world. And we cater for those persons, and we're so glad that they choose the Virgin Islands. But we also have an experience that you and I can be a part of by building a little villa. Because, of course, as landowners, we as Virgin Islanders have been bequeathed with the gift of land. So, and I want to encourage Virgin Islanders to get involved in the hospitality industry. Build a little villa, go and do an Airbnb, and become a part of this tourism product, because it is growing. It's going to continue to grow, and we all can be a part of it.
I love that. Now, I want to let the audience know, because I consider today's Thursday, because I expect this to happen tomorrow, this to be out tomorrow. We are in the middle of the Tourism Summit. I dragged the Premier and Honorable Luce just to have a discussion with the people, his people, your people, to show the importance of what the tourism industry is here in the Virgin Islands. I know we talked about 2025 started with a bang. We want to show not only Virgin Islanders, but stakeholders and visitors alike, that we take the tourism industry here in the Virgin Islands very seriously. Now, having had the first half of the Tourism Summit, both Honorable Luce and Premier, what are your opinion? What do you feel based on the temperature that we've already had for the first 4 hours this morning?
Well, we're off to a great start. And let me just recognize the Ministry of Tourism under the leadership of Permanent Secretary Joseph Smith Abbott, and his entire team. And I would highlight Sasha Flax, who, you know, did a lot of the organizational work for pulling this whole summit together. And, you know, it was oversubscribed. You know, I still have persons telling me that they want to be able to come and to have a space. So it's very successful. We're very pleased with the attendance. And, you know, we had very good presenters. In the first half, we had Donna Regis Prosper, who is actually the director at the Pear Park before she became the director of CTO. And we're proud of our association with her. She gave an excellent address. We had a very vibrant panel discussion speaking about balancing growth and sustainability. And I think we're developing, even at the very beginning, a consensus. You know, persons want to see balance. Persons want to ensure that we're conscious of the impact of one sector on another sector, and trying to see how we can have laws and policies which can be enforced. And we spoke about education, we spoke about environmental protection. And these are the type of things we need to speak about, Karia, if you want to take tourism to the next level.
Now, we've had a very successful first half of day one. I know that we'll go right into the second half in a minute. And tomorrow seems to be very exciting as well. Now, Honorable Luce, you've been here live and direct. You feel the temperature. You hear the stakeholders. You see that the people in the industry are very passionate about tourism. What are your expectations for tomorrow and even this afternoon? And what would you tell stakeholders who have taken their entire day today and many tomorrow, who have come here and invested in the interest in the tourism? What would you have to say as the other face of tourism here in the Virgin Islands to them?
Well, Carrie, I would say I appreciate them coming and expressing their views very, very boldly.
Yes.
They didn't leave anything unturned this morning. And I expect the same this afternoon and tomorrow.
Yes.
Because it started out really, really, really interesting. And I expect that we will continue to have the success that we started out with. And the topics tomorrow are also just as interesting and important as they are for today. Tomorrow, I think we're looking to the marketing aspect of our territory and our tourism product, and also the hospitality and customer service part of it, which is key, very important. And one of the things I want to mention is that we have the levels or the different tiers of our visitors, but we want to treat them all as equal with our customer service. So we need to enhance that area. And that's one of the things that I'm looking forward to tomorrow, because it entails our people on this side of the spectrum, that our restaurants and our airport and our immigration and customs and all the persons that are involved in providing the customer service to our guests, and to ensure that all are treated equally.
Very well said, Honorable Luce. Now, before we wrap up, one of the things I want to say Ms. Donna Regis said, I think she said it, and she said when it comes to the Caribbean, she doesn't really foster the idea of competition. I don't know if I agree, but okay. She is the expert. I think she used the word like co-petition or something like that. She used a very fancy terminology, but the crux of it is, we in the Caribbean are brothers and sisters keeper. Do you share that analogy? Should we look far beyond the Caribbean in terms of competition and look for perhaps to Mexico and the Maldives and those places? Or are we too short-sighted and looking at St. Thomas? That's a very common name that we call the U.S. Virgin Islands, St. Kitts, St. Nevis. What are your thoughts on that, Premier?
Yeah, well, just to say, I do agree with Donna Regis, prosper on that, because when you look at the market share globally, you see places like Mexico, you see Europe, United States, and other places. You know, they have very big market share. And while we are doing well for ourselves, we as a region can have a bigger market share. Okay. And if more persons are coming to the region, then the Virgin Islands has the opportunity to benefit. And I'm grateful that we have a spirit of cooperation in the region so that we can learn from each other's successes, because all of us are different. And of course, it's like a bag of candy, you know? Mm-hmm. Like you have the purple one, you have the green one, you have the red one. So the Virgin Islands is different from other places. So even though somebody may have visited another place, we also want them to come and visit the Virgin Islands and to return to the Virgin Islands. And you know, there'll be some people who will come here and they'll love it, and other persons will go other places and they'll love that as well. Because of course we have a carrying capacity. We can't have everybody come here.
Yes.
But the persons who come here, just like Honorable Luce Smith, we want them to feel like $1 billion when they come here. And they always want to let them know that they're welcome, and we want them to return. And of course, as our tourism product grows, as more people come here, we have more hotels, more properties. We want to make sure that the experience for everyone is stellar.
Well, there you have it. We are here at Peter Island. We want to say thank you to the kind folks of Peter Island for allowing us to do this interview here.
Thank you.
Yes, and Premier, before we're finished, I'm going to leave the lasting words with first Honorable Luce and then yourself, just to have a few seconds to the community, to this Virgin Islands that we all love so dearly, and to tell them what tourism means to you and the future of the Virgin Islands. Honorable Luz?
Yes, well, tourism, as we know, is one of our economic pillars, and it has grown tremendously over the years. And in my remarks this morning, I mentioned our founders, I should say, of our tourism product and our tourism industry. I mentioned persons like the Careys, Charles and Jenny Carey, who started the Moorings. And I also mentioned the Christophers, who started Seaview Hotel and Hotel Casa Maria. And also there's, on Main Street, there used to be a social inn that, housed the visitors that came. So we are standing on the shoulders of those persons who started the foundation for us. And we have grown. But we have still yet a farther way to go, and I think the onus is on us as Virgin Islanders, as the government, as residents and Virgin Islanders alike. We are responsible for ensuring that part of our bread and butter, it might be the butter side of the bread and financial services being the bread or whatever, but it comes together. And we have to make sure that we do what we have to do as a territory to help to sustain this tourism industry that is so important to our economy and our lives, our lifestyles, the livelihood that we're enjoying today. We're very grateful for this tourism product that we have. But as time goes by and as time passes, we have to find innovative ways to sustain our tourism product. And that's why we're here today for these next 2 years, next 25 years. What is our product going to look like? But we have to start now to decide on that.
Thank you very much, Honorable Luz Hodge-Smith. Premier, the closing words for you.
Yeah, and I would like to start where Honorable Luz Hodge-Smith left off. This tourism product will be what we make it. We've had a difficult 7 years. 2016, we had our best numbers, which is over 1.1 million guests. We had a difficult 7 years, but we've got back over 1 million visitors coming to the Virgin Islands. That's something to celebrate. And, let's give ourselves permission to feel proud of what we have accomplished. Proud of the resilience that we have demonstrated in this tourism industry. And we have opportunity. We have potential beyond imagination. And all we have to do is collaborate, come together, and work together to make sure that the Virgin Islands is considered to be the best place to visit on the planet. And it's going to take us taking care of our home, making sure that we keep the place clean, keep it pristine, keep our environment protected. It's going to take us being kind, polite, helpful, considerate to all our visitors, just as we should be to our neighbors here in the Virgin Islands. And it's going to take us putting our culture on display, including our food, our dance, our music, our literature, our folk tales, all of the different things that make the Virgin Islands such a rich and diverse and enjoyable place to live in and to visit. So I just want to give a rallying cry to our people. Tourism is doing well in the Virgin Islands. And of course, it can do so much better with your involvement and in your support. Let's make the Virgin Islands tourism product the best it has ever been.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, our Premier for the Virgin Islands, Honorable Dr. Natalia Wheatley, accompanied by our Junior Minister for Tourism and Culture, the Honorable Luz Hodge-Smith. I am your host today, Carrier Christopher, the Acting Director of Communications for the Government of the Virgin Islands, saying it's a beautiful day in the Virgin Islands. Come, stay, and spend. Thank you.